It's your girl Charles, and welcome back to another episode of a Mama Drama podcast. It is episode 93, and we are back. Well, I'm back.
Yes, girl.
We are joined today by the lovely Hebs.
Hi, guys.
And can I just say, you know what? When your pronunciation's a little bit off, I've been saying, is it Heaves? Is it Heaves? You know, when you're just like, how do I, let me make sure, I just don't want to get it wrong. So we're joined by the lovely Hebs.
Said it right.
Got it right.
The worst thing you can do is like, yeah, so you're joined by Heaves. I'm like, what she meant was Hebs. It's cool, man. It gets like that.
And Hebs is from the Growing Up British podcast. And what I loved about the spelling was the ish.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get you to get into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But obviously, I want to know a bit more about you, and I want them to know a bit more about you. So I've got a couple questions. Is that all right?
Go for it.
A couple questions. I've got to look at my phone, guys. Always got to look at my phone. Well, basically, tell us something that you're proud of.
Motherhood.
Okay.
Motherhood through the most exciting moments to the darkest moments, and just sailing through it and watching my son being happy. Like his happiness, it lets me know that I'm doing all right. Like that's my little checking in. Like if I can see his energy is always good, regardless of how bad things have been for me, I'm extremely proud.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
That is lovely. I feel like, you know, when you become, a lot of you guys do know, but when you become a parent, I feel like your child becomes your focal point. And I feel like for me, especially if you guys listen back to the previous episodes, it's really easy to kind of get lost in parenting and motherhood.
100%.
And that's something that I've always struggled with. And I still struggle with that. But I would always say, here's my biggest motivator. Here's my biggest achievement thus far. And I'll do anything for him. So
I think you're right. Like we can lose our identity a little bit and like become just a parent.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the beauty of what a child can bring to you, like my son showed resilience, my son showed positivity, but like through the hardest of times, he's like, yeah, but on the flip side, and I'm just like, he gives me so much energy and drive. Like when you're just feeling drained and done and out, you look at your child and you're like, I can keep going. So in that sense, it's not a cliche thing to say. It's a genuine like connection with your child, and I think that's a beautiful thing when you understand your purpose and their purpose for you. And
it's just crazy because in my darkest moments, that is the person that I see. Do you get what I mean? Yeah, my cast. So
yeah, we say like there's an Arabic saying which is your child is the coolness of your eyes, which is like no matter, you can like get off the most nastiest call with the dad or some other circumstance, lose a job, then you look at your child and there's something that neutralizes in your body, the chemicals, the everything. So the minute you look at them, they become that coolness in you. And that's facts on facts on facts.
Facts on facts on facts. I'm gonna agree with that 100%. Because when I'm upset from work and it's just like, Mummy, where are you? And he just comes running into the house. If I haven't picked him up, or I just see him at nursery and he's jumping up at the gate, that makes the whole day.
He's a wooser.
Yeah,
like your real life walking wooser.
Literally. All right. And then another one, just tell us a dream of something. Well, tell us a dream of something that you want to have. So what is like your biggest dream? What would you want to have?
I think it kind of stems to what I'm doing already, which is like trying to use my voice very purposefully, like why I started podding, everything that I'm doing right now, like in my grownish age. I just want it to vibrate as far and wide as possible to like just give people positive energy and like just more will and like changing and shifting perspective, like not in a sort of like presidential level, but if I can touch people and change people, I think for me that's just making me feel like I've not just existed on this earth and just been a mum and a wife, but actually I can vibrate into people's homes and their souls and their minds, and and just listen, Siri, you always want to cock block my situation. You know?
Siri's rude.
But yeah, like to me, just being very purposeful and seeing it through to the end, true to my core or my values. Like, did you know people sell out and they do like I'm like, stay true to yourself. If I can achieve that, then I feel like I've achieved a lot. Like, and obviously if I can get rich in the meantime whilst doing it, life coaching. But yeah, that's it. Really.
No, that's a good one. Okay, so I've been thinking like, or reflecting rather. I've been in a state of reflection, etc., etc. I always mention this in the episode. I'm reflecting. I'm always in my head.
We need to, man.
Literally always in my head. And I was like, We are predominantly, obviously, a parenting podcast. We've had a few guests on, and we have done some episodes on like race, ethnicity. So we've had a mother, Yaz. She's a black mother. Her husband's of Oriental origin, and they was talking about obviously raising their children and what that's like. And then we've also had one of our followers for ages ago, we've done it like visuals, and she's a white mother, and she spoke to us of what her experience was having a mixed race child. But I was like, we've never really tapped into the ethnic minority zone.
Minority within minority within minorities.
Literally. And obviously I hate the terminology, by the way. I hate ethnic minority because I feel like we're such a majority. Like
It's ethnic majority.
Literally.
Technically speaking.
Literally. We make up a lot of London, we make up the sauce, we make up everything, yeah.
100%.
But I was like, no, we need to get someone on who's a little bit different, a bit cultured.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it will be nice to like kind of just see what that side of life is like, see what if parenting is the same, if it's any different, and what that looks like. And obviously you're religious too.
Yeah.
Not obvious, but obviously.
I mean, some will look at me and be like, she belongs to the streets.
No.
I'm not dressed like to certain communities.
Yeah.
I'm not Muslim enough. So yeah. To others, they're like, right, you look mad religious. And I'm just like, thank you. I'll take that. But yeah.
But yeah, tell us what country you're from. First of all.
Can you guess where I'm from?
Do you know?
It's a bit awkward, isn't it, to put you on the spot?
To put me on the spot like that. I was gonna say somewhere like and I'm not even cheating or anything, but I want to say.
Do you see my flags on Insta?
No. But I would have seen them, but I would have I want to say Iranian, you know?
No.
Or my next second guess would be like Kurdish.
No,
mixed.
neither.
No, okay, just tell me. Put me on my misery.
My mum's from Sudan.
Okay.
Khartoum, which is North Sudan, and my dad's from Egypt, so I'm North African.
Oh, lovely.
Northeast.
Northeast.
I just like the melanin, so it's just like
cool.
So
okay. And were you born here in the UK?
Yeah, born and raised here, despite white people saying your accent's really good from where you're from, and I'm like, baby girl, I'm born and raised here. This is all I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, born and raised here. It's what I know, I guess. But I do speak fluent Arabic. My parents made sure embedded from like day dot
that you had to speak.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful for it, man. Like being how old I am now, it's just like for me to be able to just pick up on different conversations. I'm like, yeah, shout out to the parents. I learned it by force, but no regrets.
They done their thing. So when your parents, I just wanted to tap into your history a little bit. Like when your parents came over here, was it because they were fleeing war, or was it because they wanted a better life, or they just wanted a change or a difference? What was their reason to come in? To the UK?
I think by default, like most ethnic minority parents, the majority is that they would like to have a new life and a new start-up and new opportunities. And being back home, you're limited, and like there isn't much happening there. So it's back to that whole like living a dream life. Like we're gonna move countries and come back, go to like either England, America, or wherever, Australia, and like move out. Like that's where all the minorities tend to go to, right?
True, yeah.
And it's just because they want to find a better life for us. So my brother was born in Egypt, but then the rest of us were all born here.
Okay.
So the idea was that Pops came here with a job and to give us a better life. But as ethnic minorities, they freak out when they come to a foreign country. They're like, oh my God, your identity. Yeah. But that's a whole different part. But thankfully there was no war or anything like that. I mean, there's always something popping in Sudan and the revolution in Egypt, but that's nowhere near as what's happening in other parts of the world.
Correct. Okay. All right. So what was it like growing up? Because I know you mentioned, I heard the little sly comment you mentioned about the, the talking and stuff like that. What was it like growing up in school, secondary school? Because I know secondary school can be mean.
Yeah. I think for me, it was calm because for me, it was more of a transition from school to college and uni because I went to an Islamic school.
Oh, okay.
From year 1 to year 11. It was a normal UK system, but they taught you Arabic studies and Islamic studies every day. It's a bit like going to a Catholic school, basically. Yeah. So everyone in there was different minorities. So you had like reverts who were like, they reverted to Islam later on in life. You had born for like Asian, Arab, West African. Like we were mixed, all minorities. But they also had different social classes. So you had like the hella rich private school girls. Then you had like the regular peasants that come from bush. And it's just like we had to like leave them and connect to the real world when they lived in the little bubble. So I think for me, it was more transitioning from an Islamic school, girls' school, to then going into like a mixed school And
your parents let you go to a mixed school?
yeah, but the thing is, I don't think they had an issue with the mixing part. It was more about like what school would provide me the best education.
Okay.
And it just so happened to be a girls' school.
Okay.
But when it came to my sister's generation, I'm like, Mum, we're not going to do this to her. She's going to go to Saturday school Arabic, but she's going to integrate with the rest of the world. Because we ain't rich like them Arab girls.
Yeah.
We're just regular dons living in the country. So my younger sister, who actually became more religious than all of us, like in a beautiful way, she actually went to like a normal Catholic school.
Okay.
Like wherever, like, and just mix of regular people.
Yeah.
And I said to her, because like that's your reality. When you tap out of school and you have to join the real world, that's what you're going to be faced with. It's not going to be a private school where everyone's just like, yeah. So my mum got me Gucci the other day, and I'm just like, CNA, what? Tell me your age about telling you your age. So yeah, it was fine. I grew up as Mandem. I had cousins. I had an older brother. I got along with the boys' school opposite. So I didn't like the whole cliquey girl thing.
Yeah,
I was never about the energy.
Up until today, I can't.
I was a floater.
Yeah.
Like, and if the energy wasn't right, the gossiping, bitching, I'm like, peace out. I'm going to the next crowd.
Yeah.
And then college, same thing. Like, I just vibed with whoever's energy was right. I never like stayed in one place, which is cool.
So I went to school in East London.
Okay.
Actually. Yeah, Haggerston girls. I don't mind sharing that. Shout out to all the Haggerston girls.
Is the school still existing?
It still exists, but they changed their name.
Yeah.
So literally, it's just around the corner from Hackney Road. We used to wear a bright electric blue school uniform. It was mad.
Can't go missing.
And they used to call us Slaggerston girls. Oh, it was mad. But obviously, growing up in East London, going to school in an area like Haggerston, Hackney, etc., I was around like girls who were from Asian, different cultural
Different backgrounds,
different religions, etc. And something that I think about now was like the differences in how everyone's grown up, like how everyone's parents raised them, and how that kind of impacts their future and kind of what happens to them when you become an adult, essentially.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And I was like, a lot of the Asian girls, and not to just put them in a category, but we literally used to like, so you'd have the Af girls, the African girls, you'd have the Caribbean girls, the mixed girls, the mixed, the buff, the lighties or whatever in their little group, and then you'd have like the Asian girls, whatever. But somehow all the year groups, if you were like PRY or BGO, it was like splitting colours. We literally integrate according to that. So yeah, I left school with like still in contact with some of the Asian girls. They were predominantly like Bengali or Pakistani. And what was interesting to me was obviously, yes, they would be wearing their hijab to school. They had to wear it, whatever. Some wouldn't, some would.
So it depends on your household.
It depends on the household, etc. But they were all talking to boys.
Yeah. Listen, we all have feelings, you know.
Literally, they were all
Haram or
talking
halal,
to boys.
we all have feelings.
Absolutely. And I'm like, okay, so you know when people speak about extremism and it's like really just put out there like it's an extreme blah 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 blah. I don't believe in all of that. I was like, yeah, they was all talking to boys. Like they're normal,
Because even back home, like it happens. I mean, obviously, like just a quick disclaimer, like you can be all Muslims from different cultures and be very, very like raised very differently. So the Asian community are very different than the Arabic community. The North Africans are they're not necessarily accepted by the Arab community. Like there's a lot of like cultural politics, religion aside, right?
Yeah.
So like some people, like a lot of Somalian girls and Bengali girls had to wear hijab from a young age, but certain households are like, nah, like they've not hit puberty, they don't need to wear it. Like we can't force it. So everyone's got different upbringings, but they're labelled under one religion. And I think do you practice a particular faith?
I'm Christian. I mean, yeah, it's techie because I wouldn't say that I'm Christian, but I believe in God. That's what I say. I believe in God.
So just looking at like amongst your Christian friends, right? Like even like cousins and families, everyone's different.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean? Different values. You come from one background, but we have different values, different things. And I think that's the beauty of growing up British is that we are ethnic minorities and we're holding on to different values. And as a result, things look a bit differently. So you can't go, but I thought Muslims can't do this, or I thought Christians can't do that. That's true. But we're still human beings and we're still going through life and we're still trying to adapt between being third culture kids. So where our parents are from somewhere, we're brought into this society, this social narrative, and they're trying to hold on to the cultural value, the religion values, which themselves contradict themselves. And then you got the outside boys going, girl, he's cute. What do you think? And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And there's different like things for boys and different things for girls, but Islamically, there's no difference between girl and boy. So you're constantly trying to navigate and find your identity and trying to find your feet. So you're going to do things that socially are trending, which at home you can never talk about. So you start living a double life, not proudly. Some are proud, but it's just more just discovering who you are as a person.
Correct.
And that's just normal teenage life. We're doing the most, or we're trying not to do the most, but doing a little bit. Like for me, I dated, but I never crossed a certain line.
Okay.
Like to me, I'm like, till marriage, certain things till marriage. And there's like, that's the one thing I stuck by. But I knew that I had my own shortfall because I'm still a person. I'm still a human being, religion aside or whatever. I'm tempted by social norms. But yeah,
that's a good way.
we digress.
No, that was helpful because that was leading me to where I needed to get to.
Yeah,
so
good.
I wanted to know, like, what were your parents like, their hopes and dreams for you in terms of who you were to marry and what that was to look like? Because I know parents, and I'm going to get there, but actually I feel like I'm going to get there. I'm going to pause up.
Yours?
Oh, my son, he's going to be 5. So I've got a long time to go. But I know that my parents probably had views about who I would marry or who I would settle down with. And I think to some degree, I tick most of their boxes or whatever, majority, if not that. But maybe people I've dated, they would have been like, no.
Questionable.
No. But then maybe that was what I really wanted at the time. And then,
Possibly,
do you know what I mean? So what I'm getting at is, what were your parents' hopes and dreams and aspirations for you in terms of being their daughter? And getting married and what that actually looks like?
Yes, I think for them by default, like just to paint it very clear, they're first generation here. So they're not third, fourth, fifth generation, which there are with like the Caribbean culture, the Asian community. There's some who've been embedded for years. So they're part of the, the ends. Whereas my parents were just like very fresh. So they only had Sudanese circle friends, Egyptian circle of friends, and the odd like, oh, you're Arabic, you speak Arabic, I see you vibes. So to them, it's like, oh, I'm bound to marry an Egyptian guy or a Sudanese guy. But even like outside of that, whether they're Muslim or not, like if they were Asian or if they were like Moroccan or if they were whatever, they would have been like, no. And it's not because there's an Islamic purpose, because in Islam, there's no race. Like you shouldn't see color. Obviously, there is color. We have to appreciate the difference and different struggles and the beauties of it. But as far as that should never be a reason to, but because of their fear of the unknown, anything that they don't know about, they automatically reject it. Like my mum holds on to the iPhone 5 to this day. She refuses to do an upgrade, not because she has like some hate towards iPhones, it's because she's afraid of change.
Yes.
So I knew that what I wanted, like you brought me into this country, so I'm seeing beyond my race. I'm being embedded into communities where I am the minority when it comes to being North African. There's not many around me. So I grew up in different environments where I didn't care where you're from. If we vibed, we vibed. Like we create our own culture as third culture kids. So they started realizing, okay, she might not marry an Egyptian, but I didn't have intention not to. Where are they?
I was going to say, because I don't think I've ever heard, when you meet people and you're like, where are you from? I've rarely ever heard of someone being Egyptian. I'm not going to lie to you.
Hi.
Honestly. Hello. Hi. Nice to meet you. But I've never heard. It's a rarity.
So you have to find someone who's Egyptian, someone who's on your wavelength, someone who you can vibe with, someone who carries the same morals as you, someone who practices the way you practice. There's so many intricate details. And it's just like, for them, initially, it was like, as long as he's Egyptian, I don't care where he's from. As long as he's Sudanese, I don't care about anything else. Like, as long as the whole, like, where's his dad from? What does he do for a living? Oh, his dad's a lawyer. And I'm just like, I ain't going to marry his dad. So it's just like understanding the cultural ties that they had, which had nothing to do with religion. So I had to break their heart gently when it came to my ex-husband, because that was a whole spanner in the works.
Where was your ex-husband from? Because obviously they don't know. Where was your ex-husband from?
He is half Bayesian, half Jamaican. He's still alive, so he is still. So he's safe. And he's the father of my young king. So initially they rejected it, not on the basis they met him. It was foreign. And they were just like, no, he's not Egyptian. And I like took a lot of work in, a lot of reminding and humbling to like our faith. Let go of culture for a minute, because culture is cute. Like there's beauty of culture that we've embraced. I'm sure you embrace within your own, but there's elements of it that doesn't make sense. We just follow it for the sake of, we follow it blindly, we inherit it, and we die. And it's like we're passing on to generations, but we're the next generation when we're going, hold up, make it make sense so I can mess with it. So then I had to work with them and like start breaking down, yo, this is culture. Like, what do you mean? And then eventually when they met him, they couldn't say nothing bad.
Really? So after you done all, how long did that work take? Because that sounds like a lot
Time.
of work.
I was exhausted. I'm like, fam, we're getting married regardless. Yeah, I don't care. You and I don't work out. I fought for this, and that's one of my rookie moves. Is that I fought for it so hard that I'm gonna see this through.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
here we are, divorced.
yeah.
But it was worth it. I had my beautiful son, but it took a lot of time. And when they did accept it, I wanted to make sure there's no resentment. There's no "I told you so." There's no like we're gonna disown you, because a lot of communities, different whether you're Christian, Muslim, whatever, that they'll disown you if you cross different paths. So you even have like West Africans, if you mix with a Caribbean, it's like you have the mother who goes, hell no.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you want to do that, I'm not involved.
Yeah,
And it's like you wait for the grandchildren to come in and maybe they'll like mess with you.
Yeah.
So I wanted their true blessing, and I genuinely got it, even though it went left after that.
Yeah. No, that's good, because obviously, I mean, as a child, you do want your parents to accept you for the decisions that you make. And then you also want your parents to accept whoever else you decide to have in your life. And if they don't, it's a hard situation.
There's no blessing. Like, you
Yeah.
need your parents. Like, even if your parents aren't as hands-on, you still want a blessing. You still want to know, like, you can pull up to their doorstep and they'll greet you with a hug, and it's not like hostility and bad vibes. So for me, it's like, I had to remind them, like, you raised me well. Like, I'm not out here like just being a rebel without a cause. Like, I'm here sitting down talking to you guys. I'm having an articulate conversation about like my purpose and what I want. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was very young and naive. I thought I was headstrong and I knew life, but at the time I still came correct. I could have been any other girl. It's like, I can go to any imam and I can get married because he's Muslim and I'm Muslim, say something. But I just thought, how is this going to benefit my relationship with my parents, who I truly love and admire? So I just had to work on them and their stubborn asses, basically. And now my mum and dad, like, my dad's passed away, but my mum's very interracial. She's like, yeah, man. So when I met my husband now, she didn't even care. She was just like, this guy, he fears God. Like, he's such a good man. I don't business where he's from. Because like, she's also learned being from the same culture don't mean she.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't equate to like you
happiness,
guys are
love, respect. It doesn't, honestly.
And like, amazing if you guys are from the same culture. And I'm very pro like mixing with the same, and like not in it, like there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you shouldn't hate another race and you shouldn't restrict for stubbornness, but if you guys vibe and you're from the same background, beauty. You have banters together. You share the same lingo, language, everything. Like, it's beautiful. But if you don't have it, there's also way much more than culture to life and purpose.
Absolutely. So when did you get married to your ex-husband? So you've done all of that groundwork with your parents, and then it's marriage. So
they put like a million obstacles in the way. So I met him when I was 19. They found out about him maybe when I was like in my early 20s.
Okay.
And then they're like, you can't get engaged until and I'm like, okay, cool. Bear in mind, Islamically, there's no such thing as engagement. No, it's just straight marriage. But they want to put obstacles because culture tells you got to do this and got to do that. We ended up getting married when I was 26.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good few years.
Yeah, but bear in mind, for a good few years, like, he weren't ready. And that's another thing. That's like this I know your time limited, but we can come back for another session. But like, you can't make someone ready. Like, in hindsight, I forced a situation. Like, I don't think marriage was on his things, like on his table. Like, but I came in fresh and he was like, I can be open to marriage because I met you and you're different. But it was never really something there. So you can tell the procrastination was there, and the hesitation. So what would have taken a lot shorter took a lot longer, because I'm still trying to work with his situation and his schedule and his family, and deal with my family and their obstacles. It took some time. And then we split like a few years later.
Okay, so you got married at 26. Yeah. It's all great.
I had my son at 28.
Had your son at 28. Mashallah. Did I say
it right?
Girl. Did I say it right? Yes. About 28.
Yeah.
And then when did you guys get divorced?
On my 30th.
On your 30th?
Roughly, yeah.
What was that like?
It was gonna come, like, regardless. It was gonna happen. My son was born prematurely. My waters broke at 25 weeks. He was born at 27 weeks. They say like marriage kind of goes a bit shaky when a child is born prematurely. It didn't. Like, we did all right, but leading up to it, the marriage, I realized we're very different. Who I was at 19 and my growth and like the evolution of Hebs, like, as a person. Like, I was going from sprint to sprint of like recognizing who I am, my purpose, and like just my growth and wanting to do better for myself, whereas he was very complacent, very content with doing the bare minimum, very happy to be in a job and complain about it. Like, just we had different mindsets. So I realized I was evolving and he was just quite stagnant and content. And I'm like, we're not really working here. And then that comes with hostility, that comes with challenges, that comes with resistance, and that then leads to disrespect. So there was a lot of things that were happening that I knew we're never going to catch up or keep up with each other, like, unless we're both willing to grow together, G-check each other, keep us in line to our purpose. Someone's dragging someone along the way. And then it just got more and more toxic. And then when my son was born, it was no longer about us working it out. It was, what is my son witnessing? And we've tried to work it out for a minute before he was born, and when he was young enough not to realize. But now he's 2, like, this isn't going to be his environment. So I just knew, my feelings aside, this was the most appropriate thing to do for the sake of my son's, like, happiness and mental health. Because I even researched, like, attachment anxiety versus staying for the sake of the children. Like, staying for the sake of the children is a beautiful thing if you both have the same end goal and you both have the same level of respect and same level of understanding. You can ride for it. Do you know what I mean? We can be a team. But if we're not a team already,
it's catastrophe.
And not just that, your child is absorbing everything.
Yeah.
Even if we're sitting in the end of the room, not talking to each other, and this kid is full of energy going, "Mommy, Daddy," like, go talk to your mum. Or whatever. Just the simplest things. I'm basically teaching my son how to be. Like, I'm now creating the foundations, consciously, subconsciously. Nah,
it's too much.
Can't run.
Too much.
And he and I say this, he failed me, but not my son. In certain areas, you could do better. To this day, he knows how I feel, but my son loves him. So I had to disconnect my feelings and go, it's not about you, Hebs. It's about, how is my son thriving? Is he doing well? And also for the man, he needs to thrive as well to help build his identity. So I can't deprive him of his child. That's part of his natural growth and his evolution as a man. So for me to kind of go, well, actually, I'm not feeling you today, so I'm just going to cut you off. It's just like, but what am I doing? I'm giving him like 10 steps back in his connection with his son because of my feelings.
That's a mature mindset. Did that happen for you overnight? Because I know I feel like women, we are biologically emotional beings. We cannot help but be spurred by our emotions. So if you hit me right now or do something to me, I might be mad with you for the next 2-3 weeks, and maybe unbeknownst to myself, I'm going to take that out on whatever I can around because I'm still in my feelings. Correct. So I wanted to know, like, how did you get to that stage? Because when I hear these wonderful stories, I'm like, y'all be grown. You guys are really grown. And I don't know if I would be that mature or I'd have that emotional resilience to say, Shells, put your feelings and your emotions aside, and it's now all about Cass. It's all about my son. Yeah. It's always going to be about my son, but what about me? Where do your feelings fit into that?
So there's an element of, there's constant conflicts. I'm battling with myself. I'm like, the Wusa word, like, literally at some point I was running through it like 10 times a day. Like, I'm like, I can't catch a case, because it gets quite peak where you're just like, I don't understand where you think it's okay to disrespect your child's mother, or you can talk to her so outwardly and not carry her name correct when your child's thriving. Like, to me, there's a lot of things that I didn't understand, but I had to accept. Some men don't understand, or some people, men and women, because you're all like at fault at some point. They can't see the connection between the importance of how you carry the mother and the father determines also the level of respect and love you have for your child. Like, you can't be a good father and be an absolute horrid, like, unit or co-parent. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's something there where you're not seeing how well your child is growing and going, do you know what? Let me give her roses. Let me give her flowers for what she's doing. So I might not stand her as a partner, but as a mother, she's thriving. I'm going to give her that respect. When you don't have that, to me, it's like mind blowing.
Yeah.
But I can't force you if you weren't ever taught that. If you weren't ever raised in an environment where someone told you respect that woman, then that's your own personal growth. So for me, it's like, just ending the marriage, I knew consciously what I was like, what that's going to look like. And I already carried so much guilt. Like, when we split, my son would hear a car engine and run to the door and go, "Daddy!" And I'm like, that's it. I can't do this. I can't. Like, the guilt was so there because I was so guilty by default. I had to do all I can to, like, make sure my son's energy is cool. So he got the essays from me. He got the text messages like, mother trucker, if I was that woman, yeah, good luck seeing your you. Like, I've done that. Because there are times where I can't be like passive aggressive, or I can't be like, yeah, everything's great. Sure, you're cancelled again. That's fine. There are times where I'm like,
no, you need
you're
to
an
feel
idiot.
it. Yeah.
And it's because I'm still human.
Yeah.
And it's only so much I can like let go. So there comes a point where I'm going to jab you in the throat. Like, we're going to fight out physically one day and someone's going to die. But then I have to kind of think, where's the benefit of this? I'll release the energy in the message, but then that's it.
Yeah, what happens afterwards?
Yeah, and then it's just like, if we've caught in crossfire like during the handover, where he's like, call me a name, and I'm like, Heba, not today.
Yeah,
not today. Social services are not going to get involved in our lives. So yeah, it's hard.
it is hard.
It's absolutely hard. No matter how mature you are about it, you are still human, and there is an element where you do want to be you want to be petty. You want to go, do you know what? If you're making my life hard, I'm going to make it harder. Because like I'm the primary carer. I'm the one that's got to deal with this, and you're here giving me, yeah, honestly, sis.
No, but you've done it.
It's strength.
Yeah.
To this day, even though I'm remarried and I'm happy and life is great, it's still a conscious, constant battle of like, okay, that's fine. And I write messages to myself sometimes. I release the energy there because there's no point. It's not productive.
Sending it.
Nah.
Yeah, it's not gonna
Dear diary.
help. Yeah, literally. Yeah, I write to myself in my notes all the time. Not
listen, guys, try it.
Honestly.
Send it to yourself. Send it to yourself, and then wake up in the morning and go, yeah, I'm glad I didn't send that. You know?
No, literally, because you're like, damn.
But it would have consumed you.
Absolutely.
Like, you would have spent like hours on end going back and forth on bullish.
Oh, on what?
Petty whap. Like, that used to be my nickname. One of my girls, she'll have your petty whap on my phone, you know. And I'm just like, relax. There's growth here. There's growth.
No. Okay. So I have seen a few clips. Obviously, I followed you on the gram.
Yes.
Liked your content, liked the conversations you were having. Very uplifting, very motivational, very insightful, and just like a breath of fresh air. It's not the nonsense that you can see online sometimes. Just like, it's too much nonsense, but very, very insightful content. Thank you. And I noticed, obviously, it looks like your family is mixed.
Yes.
As in, you're now, what do they call it?
We're in a blended family.
I was going to say mixed, blended. Blended family. So that history has all happened. You've moved on. When did you feel that you were ready to like settle down and meet somebody new? When did you say, yeah, it's my time?
It was a journey. Like, my first part of it is like, nah, bun this. I invested 11 years for this. Like, I look at my son, I'm like, cool, shout out to you. Because like, that's my main achievement besides life experience and things that make me stronger. Initially, I was exhausted mentally, emotionally. I'm like, I'm done with this. I don't think I can. And upon reflection, it sounds kind of deep, but I don't think I was ever really in love with my ex-husband. I think I had the concept of love and I was trying to force that environment. And I was like, once we get married, things will get better. And I realized I've never experienced love. Will I ever experience it? I'm now in my 30s. Maybe I'm just destined to be a single mum. So like, I started focusing on my son. And through that, I started focusing on my purpose and focusing on my identity, because I spent so much energy trying to work on someone, pouring till you're dehydrated, and I'm like, fam, where's the water? Where's a well? Give me something.
Let me take a sip of my coffee.
I need a GoFundMe page for a well. Like, I need water. And it's just one of those things where I didn't think I'd ever have the capacity to give someone the energy that I gave him, because I'd be so risk averse. Like, I was risk assessing like a mother trucker. You can give me one little tiny amber flag and I'm like, nah, bun you, I'm good, on to the next. But I just realized I'm not made to be a single person. I'm not made to, whilst dating and having the option of someone moving to you, be like, yeah, I am single, you know. You say it. The novelty wore out. So I'm like, cool, I get all this attention, all this stuff. But I need substance, I need purpose, and I can't be building connection to people who are relevant to my life. Like, you know, we're just vibing, we're cool, but where are we going with life?
What's happening?
Yeah. And I want to have children. I thought I'd be on child number 4 by now.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have a child for the sake of having a child with the wrong person. And then it's just like, that's a very selfish act.
Yeah. I don't understand people who were like, yeah, they'll go back to their ex, or just so they can have the same father, or just they want a child and they'll go and do that.
I've heard people say to me, why don't you go back to your ex? You have a beautiful child between you. Why not have more children with him? And I'm like, because to me, he was an idiot. And I'm like, why do I want to have more children with someone who is not giving me what I need when it comes to like support or an example or foundation to what I want to raise my children in? And like, you know, God bless him, he's a good dad with my son. But when it comes to like what I truly aspire, like my parents were married for 44 years. Do you know what I mean? So my dad passed away. Like they were riders.
Yeah.
They met at the age of 19. So I'm like, this is gonna be my same love story.
That is so cute.
Beautiful. They like they understood the purpose. They understood respect. They understood like the whole godly side of it, and they just worked it out. The dynamics changed and shifted. But we're digressing. But yeah, so I think it was just through healing, getting comfortable with me, getting comfortable being alone. For a very long time, I spent a lot of time being busy. Motive after motive. Like, what you on? You good? Shisha? Yeah, let's do this. But it's because I don't want to sit in my space. When my son's with his dad, I'm on a motive. But then I had to sit down and go, hey, so what are you doing here? Because like we're no longer 30. The time is going. Before I'm like, I have option. People like used to say, oh, but you're like NSG with options, isn't it? And I'm just like, well,
NSG.
But then when you look at it, what is really options besides attention? Because until someone comes serious, it's not really an option. You think, oh yeah, I got 10 guys in my DMs I get moved to every day. Cool.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Yeah, I want to wife you. I don't see no ring, boo.
Yeah.
So I had to like humble myself, going, cool, Hebs, you're getting all this attention, but realistically, which ones align with you? And then that's where I started putting myself out there, and I went on like a Muslim dating app or a Muslim coupling app. Before everyone goes, dating's haram. Yeah, I get it. All right, calm down. And I just thought, you know what? Cool, there are other guys out there who are cool, who are ambitious, who are calm. What, they've never been physical with women. They've never disrespected a woman. Swear down. Y'all exist. So like through that, my heart started opening. I didn't have intention to. And I was just like, yeah, I think I'm ready for this. I think I'm ready for companionship. I truly am here. Like I'm so old school. I want to serve someone. I want them to serve me. I want to grow. I want to evolve. I want to like put your hearing aid one day when you're older, like play pranks with you. Like that's my setup. I don't know anything different. I'm not like the strong, independent woman because I enjoy thriving of it. It's because I have to for survival. But really and truly, I want to be vulnerable. I want to be a little damsel in distress and be like, save me.
I said that and they were like, no one's coming to save her. Honestly,
she
save
don't want
us.
to be
We need to be saved.
But yeah, like some of us genuinely want to, but sometimes when you become so strong and resilient, you don't know how to be vulnerable. So even when I met guys along the way, they're like, hey, you're too hard. You're a bit cold, aren't you? Like, and I'm just like, no, you're just not my safe space. And when I met my husband, I'm like, you're my safe space. Like to the point where I said to him, I might start grieving my dad. I haven't grieved my dad because I've not been in an environment to grieve my dad because I've had to be a strong mum, I've had to be a daughter, I've had to be like other people's support that I've not processed what's happening. So I felt myself being a bit vulnerable and I'm just like, heads up, when we get married, I might just have a breakdown. I don't know how it's going to look. It might turn left. I might quit my job. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm ready. And it's because he created that space.
For you. That's amazing. So, I feel like when you find your person and you know you're their person, it's chef's kisses. It's elite.
Incredible.
It's a great feeling. And so many good things and blessings can come from that.
Honestly.
Just two people coming together, connecting, like they're on the same path, they're serving the same purpose, they support each other. When you're down, I'll help you up.
So
when you're
incredible.
Up, I'll get you up there with me. Do you get
what I
mean?
But it requires so much growth within yourself and within that person to like really self-reflect and go, what am I really doing in my existence? How am I serving myself? Like if I was to die, like all these conscious G-checks. If you don't have that, then you're just coasting through life and we're just freestyling. And I feel like that's cute for some people, but for me, I'm like, I need to know that we're evolving. I need to know that together we can build an empire, a unit of like, whether it's morals, whether it's finance, we're in this together. Like I'm gonna pull you up and you pull me up, and I'm gonna be your, when you're having a shortfall, I'll overcompensate for that day rather than that's his job, innit?
That's what he's supposed to.
It's like, I ain't gonna do this. If I start doing it now, he's gonna get used to it. But when it's the right person, they're like, I appreciate you. Like we say I appreciate you all the time, like maybe like 5-6 times a day to each other.
That's
and
lovely.
It's because it's genuinely, I appreciate, like he just today, for example, he's like, Hebs, I'll drive you. Like from, because we were in Fulham. So I said, I'll drive you, I'll go to the gym, because he used to live in Tottenham. So I'll go to the gym around here and then I'll just hang around till you're ready. And I'm just like, this would not happen with my ex. He'll be like, yeah, about that.
Who asked you to do it? Yeah. And who asked you to do it? Oh, mate,
and it's just like, let me see how I feel in the morning, innit? Whereas he's just like, cool, we'll wake up, we'll pray, we'll do this, da da da. I'll swat Khalil, and I'm just like, oh my God, you're like amazing. Where are you? Like, where are the rest of you? I said to him he should run a work course, like a workshop on how to be a man. It's a lot of pressure, but
It
yeah.
is a lot of pressure, but I think it would be
When
a
you
good thing.
when you experience like true love and true respect and whatever, it's so fresh and it's so rare when people can both equally be vulnerable that you just want everyone else to experience it. And it sounds very like cheesy, like I want y'all to experience love too. But like when you genuinely gone through all the bullshit and you start accepting that as your default setting,
Yeah.
like a little disrespect's alright, a little bit of roughness is alright, a little bit of passive aggressiveness is alright. But it's just like, why have we made it okay?
Yeah.
And it's because it's such a social norm amongst us. When we meet something fresh, we don't even know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So I look at him and I'm like, are you real? Am I gonna die soon? Like something's bound to go wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's how amazing it is. And I think it's like,
Aw.
yeah, it's a blessing.
No, that is a blessing. That is amazing. I wanted to just finally in like wrapping up and stuff. What do you envision or see for your future? So more children on the horizon?
100%.
Okay.
Like we're both like, so he's got an 8-year-old daughter. I have an
Yeah.
8-year-old son. They're 4 months apart, but like 4 feet difference.
That's lovely. Like 8 and 8. Do you like?
Yeah, but
do you
one's a woman and one's a boy. The dynamics are different.
8 and 8 though, but it's
sick.
aligned. Yeah.
It's sick. But then it's just like, she's Miss Independent. I need my alone time, dear diary time. Whereas he's like, I just want to play with everyone. And she's like, yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore. Not
and
interested.
I'm just like, oh, sorry, babes. So yeah, it's a beautiful blessing. But we both equally want to have children, and we both share exactly the same foundations, and it's exciting. And like, he supports what I do podcast wise. Like he understands like the background to my purpose of it. And he's an actor. I support him in what he does, and it's just like we're just a team. So to me, it's like if I can grow old and grey with you, and pop out as many kids and be as successful as we can in so many different ways,
by all means,
I'm content.
Literally,
that's cool. I'm here for it. Yeah.
No, I love that. I love love. I do love love. I mean, I'm hard, guys. You guys know me and my views and my praise on it. Yeah. But I love love. I love love for everyone. 100%. I want everyone to feel love.
100%.
But yeah, where can we find you, girl? Where can we find you?
I'm wrapping up season 3 of Growing Up British. And just quickly, I know you we haven't really touched on it.
Tell us about the podcast.
So Growing Up British is something I decided to consciously do because I think like, as ethnic minorities, regardless of where you're from, because you mentioned how like, everyone's raised a bit different, but we still have very common things when it comes to discipline, when it comes to tradition, the conflict of trying to navigate ourselves and find ourselves without our parents telling us one thing and another. Like everyone's very similar but different. So it's about celebrating our differences. And growing up in End in London, we've created our own culture.
Literally
amongst us, we can bust joke and like you can make a joke about like a certain culture or like just certain like lingos and words.
Yeah.
Where like you said, mashallah, and I can say something about someone else and it's just like, all right, I see you.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to like, let's discuss the realness of like being third culture kids. Let's also celebrate the difference and also let's laugh at our pain. Because like Ish got real growing up trying to find our feet. So it's just like I just wanted to discuss all the taboo topics and just keep it as raw and as honest and transparent as possible, even if it means putting me at stake. Because that's what vibrates more. So I'm just like, as long as I do it in a tasteful manner. But yes, Growing Up British season 3 is rounding up. I'm gonna do a lot more Mama Heb stuff. So like just me talking to the camera, me just talking to other people and like real talk conversations about parenthood, motherhood, fatherhood. So on Instagram it's I am Hebs with a Z, growing up British.h. But ultimately on YouTube, Mama Hebs, subscribe. Sorry, I know this is your platform.
No, you need to do that, girl.
I need. And also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the works. But yeah, I'm just here to help people navigate through life coaching, talking, little reels, rants.
No, we
breakdowns.
love it. I'm here for it. I love it. Like I said, it's a breath of fresh air. It's very insightful and keep doing what you're doing.
Likewise.
Keep it up.
I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you. So guys, make sure you're subscribing to our content, okay? It is free. Press the like button. Leave a comment. We'll be engaging. I'll be engaging with you guys. And we'll be back for another episode. We're out. Bye.